Good afternoon again. I have another question. Sometimes I'm concerned in my practice there's a dimension of trying to be holier than I am, and rather than genuinely ignoring the cries of the mind, I'm suppressing them, and rather than diminishing, they're growing stronger in the background. Any thought, advice? Well, first of all, I'm coming back to being present. Let the mind just be present. After about 20 years of meditating, when I was in my late 40s, middle to late 40s, I was quite a person in the organisation where I learned to meditate. I had a sort of fairly senior position. I was teaching other people to meditate. I was taking groups. I had responsibility for other people. I used to go and do a lot of lecturing and speaking on meditation to various groups around the country. I'd read most of the books, and I thought I was pretty well informed about the subject, really. And then something happened that turned my life upside down and helped me to see that I'd become rather as this person writes, holier than I was. I don't quite know what else would have actually brought it to my attention, but something happened that just pulled all that apart. And I left the organisation with which I'd been for 20 years, which had taught me very, very, very well all the right techniques and the methods of meditation. And I had to go through several years of the most awful, my life completely falling to bits, depression, which seemed to sort of quite break that earlier me being anything or knowing anything or being able to do anything. And all that great suppressed emotion, thoughts that had been somehow pushed into the background in those first 20 years came out and had to be lived through, and this took several of the probably the most difficult years of my life. So maybe, I don't say something quite so dramatic will happen to your life. And that's why now, after a long life of experience, I'm very wary of any attempt to suppress or control the mind. And similarly, I don't like this talk about being enlightened or holy or knowing how to meditate, for example, any of these things. It's much easier to think you know these things when you're young, even up to your late 40s. But now I'm old, I'm not so sure I know any of these things. And I'm quite sure I'm neither enlightened or holy or that I know how to meditate. There you are, all you youngsters who think you've got it all together. Good luck to you. Back to it, yes, makes me very wary of trying to suppress or control the mind. I suspect that what we've got to live through in this life, we've got to live through. And these things are given to us for a purpose. Do you know, as a farmer, I was farming at a time when traditional farming was being rather taken over by a lot of clever scientists who knew everything about everything, how to fertilize the soil and how to control the bugs and grow bigger this and that. And I was pretty skeptical about it at the time. And as the longer I farmed, the more I considered the wonder of the soil, and I knew just about enough science to not be too impressed by the latest science. I trusted man ever less and nature ever more. You know, there's an old saying, the more you know, the less you know. It's quite true. I used to look at the wonders of my soil and say, who am I to impose my will on this miracle? I used to keep bees for 40 years. I was a beekeeper. I remember one day I opened my hive and was wonderstruck at what I saw, really. The marvellous sight that greeted me of these bees all knowing exactly what to do. And there and then I stopped trying to control them. You know, I became what's known as a leave-alone beekeeper. I put the lid back down, left them to it. I stopped trying to impose my will on them. I always had enough honey. Maybe I wasn't very good at it. I'm sure proper beekeepers got a lot more honey than I did, but never mind, God bless them. It was a great lesson to me. I feel pretty much that way about life itself these days. My own mind and my emotions, well, they're there. Who knows what to do about them? The less we try to control things, the better, in my experience. I suppose it's all to do with trusting, isn't it? Trust in a wisdom that is higher than ours. Humility before the wonders of creation, which includes the wonders of our own body and workings of our own mind. That's it. You're on safe ground there. Better be humble, my dears, and try to run the show yourself. Let things unfold naturally. Then you're on safe ground. Yeah. In God we trust. Certainly not in me. That's why we say, God bless you. God bless you, dears. Here and now. Just feel that presence in which all things are well. Isn't that so? Until another day.